Here we go now. A case of beer, some barbecue. There's no doubt that I'm better than you.
Check.
With these looks and these moves, you can't blame me for being so rude. The land of the red, white, and blue will be my home till the day I die. I'm every lady's fantasy. I'm the American guy.
Happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Filsinger Games Fan Podcast. We are recording a little bit early on Friday, but that's just so you can start your weekend. You can get a head start on your weekend, and you don't have to worry about catching up on all the latest Filsinger Games news. There actually isn't a ton of news this week, but we are going to get to it. And we have a huge reveal at the end of the show, so you are going to want to stay tuned till the very end. This is the Filsinger Games Fan Podcast, episode number 77 for January 14th, 2022. The Filsinger Games Fan Podcast, the podcast that keeps your dice dizzy. My name is Grant Pachoco, and it is such a great honor to have you following along for the Filsinger Games Fan Podcast today. Before we really get going, we do want to send out a special thank you to all the Patreon patrons who make this show possible. These are the fine folks who have gone over to patreon.com/Saturday Morning Media and set up a monthly pledge for as little as $1 a month to help keep this show and the other fine content from Saturday Morning Media on the air. And a special shout out to our patron producers, Dorothy Pachoco, Eve Cunning, Kathy Crawford, Tony Urbano, David Akers, and Vicky Sebring. Well, we have some news. There's not a ton of news, but there is some news. So let's get to it. The latest news, of course, is that tickets to the Filsinger Games Perennial 2022 have gone on sale. This is happening Saturday, January 29th, 2022, and it starts at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and goes through 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So it's a full day. 11 a.m. Eastern Time is 8 a.m. Pacific Time. So I will be getting up nice and early so I can go to this. The tickets are on sale at filsingergames.com. As I said, it's $15 if you want to go to the convention and play in the tournaments. It is $12 if you just want to go to the convention. There are two, and this is all online. So when I say convention, it is an online convention. There are two con-exclusive cards, one for Legends and one for Champions of the Galaxy, which I believe is a Kronos card. So if you want to get those cards, even if you can't make it, $12 for two cards that are exclusive, that's pretty good. That's a good thing. So definitely check that out. Also, in addition to all the tournaments, there's going to be a special wrestling guest who has not been announced yet. There is going to be Filsinger Games panels that kind of tease and reveal what we can expect in quarter one. And Tom Filsinger, the man himself, will be there. The Zoom room, as I said, opens at 10:30 a.m. Eastern on January 29th. The first tournaments begin at 11 a.m. Eastern. Panels start at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, and the event runs till 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So that is your schedule. You can tune in and out during the day. You can drop in for a little bit, drop in for the whole thing. But make sure that you buy your tickets so you don't miss out on these con-exclusive cards, because it is going to be fun, I imagine. All the information that you want is at filsingergames.com, so definitely go check it out there at filsingergames.com. There's a story right on the main page, but of course, I will have a link to that story in the show notes, as I usually do. Well, it's time for the match of the show. There wasn't a lot of news, but it is time for the match of the show. Last week, as you know, HelSin was able to claim the podcast Grand Championship, and I asked you who HelSin should face in his first defense. Only 2 people suggested names, and the 2 names are Blazing Skull and Kelvin Black. So I took those 2 names, I put them into a blender, I mixed them up, and ladies and gentlemen, the match tonight, HelSin will be defending his title against Blazing Skull, a match made in heaven. Can I just say, I love this. I have always loved this, that they call the little thing over Blazing Skull's head a skull cap, that Tom called it a skull cap, because I just picture, like when old ladies go to the swimming pool and they wear a little skull cap, and I always just, whenever I hear skull cap, that's kind of what I picture Blazing Skull wearing. So a lovely flower adorned skull cap. Anyway, so HelSin versus Blazing Skull, this probably is going to, I would not be surprised if this ends in a disqualification and we'll be rescheduling a match next week. But let's roll for some initiative, and let's ring that bell. And it looks like Blazing Skull will start things off here with a temple chop to HelSin. HelSin is hurt. Ooh, big hurt there on HelSin. Chokehold by Blazing Skull. Again, hurting HelSin. A bite to the forehead on Blazing Skull. HelSin reverses that on level 2, though, and hits a big crucifix drop. Ooh, and Blazing Skull is rolling his pin. The target is 2. The roll is a 5. So 1 fatigue token there for Blazing Skull, and HelSin is going to roll on level 3 offense with a big Hurricane Rana, and oh no, so down 3, we have to roll the skull cap here. So the way this works is we roll 2 dice, and an explosion comes on a roll of 11 or 2 when skull cap is loose. So right now we're just rolling to see if the skull cap comes loose. It would have to be a 12, and it is a 4, so it is not. Blazing Skull is down. HelSin continuing. Ooh, an exorcism, adding 1 to Blazing Skull, and we'll roll on level 3 for Blazing Skull. Ooh, again, we're rolling the skull cap. The roll is a 9, so not quite a 12, but he is still down. HelSin, exorcism again, adding 1 to Blazing Skull, and Blazing Skull is hurt too. HelSin really bringing the fight. Into the turnbuckle goes Blazing Skull, crushed by a big kick. HelSin will roll on level 2. Stiff arm crowbar to Blazing Skull, hurt too. Into the turnbuckle again goes Blazing Skull, and Blazing Skull reverses it, throwing HelSin into the turnbuckle, and he is crushed by a big kick. Blazing Skull now on offense, throws HelSin into the ropes, and Blazing Skull puts him down with a running back elbow, and will roll on level 2, and try a chokehold on HelSin, hurt too. Blazing Skull with another chokehold, just keeping it locked in there. Down 3. Oh no, Blazing Skull suplex outside the ring on Blazing Skull. Down 3, leave the ring. Well, they're already outside the ring, but I'm going to say HelSin's going to bail out of the ring. I see HelSin as somebody who would break the rule, bend the rules a little bit, even though he's a hero. A Wild Brawler ups a wrestler with the better ring rating. That's going to be, they're equal. So Blazing Skull will roll on level 3 offense, and he gets a choice G, so that'll be either a death jump. He is going to go for the power move. That'll work on an 8 or less. Ooh, 11. It doesn't work. HelSin able to reverse it with a mallet thrust on Blazing Skull. Hurt too. HelSin is coming back, and he rolls a choice A, so that'll be either into the ropes or, he's going to throw him into the ropes. And into the ropes goes Blazing Skull. You come out the ropes, and the opponent puts you down with a running back elbow. Opponent rolls on level 2. Offense. Into the turnbuckle goes Blazing Skull. And a specialty move, both wrestlers. The wrestler with the better turnbuckle rating, that's HelSin. HelSin recovers first. Ooh, and he rolls stake to the heart, adding another fatigue. Now at 4 fatigue is Blazing Skull, and he will roll on level 3 defense. Hurt too. HelSin is just slowly chipping away at him. Choice A, gonna throw him into the ropes again. And, Blazing Skull comes off with a powerful flying shoulder tackle. Bite to the forehead, 2. HelSin reverses that on level 1. What a match this is turning out to be. Backhand 1, hurt 2. HelSin rolls again. He's going to roll the choice A and throw him into the ropes. Blazing Skull into the ropes. Big specialty move. HelSin's going to go in for the kill here. Death jump. HelSin climbs up to the top, and struggle takes place. Who has the better agility rating? Ooh, they're equal. So HelSin is going to win that and shove Blazing Skull off, and again, stake to the heart, adding another one. Now at 5 fatigue is Blazing Skull. Hurt 2. Blazing Skull, how is he still standing? Stiff arm crowbar 3, hurt 2. HelSin just looking for the right spot to put him away. Into the turnbuckle goes Blazing Skull. The wrestler with the better turnbuckle rating, that's going to be HelSin. He's going to roll on level 3 offense, and again, going to try this death jump. Climbing up to the top, a big clothesline, and HelSin's going to roll on level 3 offense, and there it is. There's Burial. So this will be a +1. The target is 8. The roll is a 7, and what a defense with Burial for HelSin. So HelSin retains the podcast grand championship. I would love to know who you think HelSin should face next week. And remember, it can be somebody from Champions of the Galaxy. It can be somebody from Legends. As long as they have a card online, we can have them face HelSin. So there you go. There is your match of the show. Moving on to the question of the show. Last week I asked you, what do you think the theme of Legends Expansion 9 will be? And we had a lot of great answers here. Carl Zilla says, honestly, I'm glad they're moving away from promotion-specific stuff and into more general themes. I jokingly suggested Legends Expansion 9, wrestlers who have wrestled as the theme, but obviously that's too broad. I'm thinking they might go region-specific, like Legends of the South or Legends of Texas, so they don't have to have specific names that were pretty much essential to the specific promotion. Carl, I agree with you. I think that's definitely what we're going to see going forward, in my opinion. Jared B says, as for Legends 9, we've gotten a lot of classic territory focus sets, so with this expansion being broader, it may be a great way to get more recent signings that are from the 90s or the 2000s that wouldn't fit in an indie set. That's another great possibility as well. I'm sure there are a lot of signings, and it seems that those signings, the more recent people from the 90s and the 2000s, are easier to get. Christopher Merriman says, I'd love to see Junkyard Dog and Big John Studd. I'm right there with you. I would love to see those as well. Scotty Boy 9999 says, a bit stumped on the theme. I'm guessing there will be mainly color updates to existing cards, so maybe that's the theme. I think many new signings will be held back for other stuff, like perhaps the Tragos Thez set. Yeah, they could definitely, if they have the rights to colorize some black and white cards, you could do fantastic sets just with that. So very possible. Steve Williams says, I'd love it if Legends Expansion 9 were called Legends Worldwide and focused on wrestlers from outside the United States. This opens the door for color versions of Don Leo Jonathan, Andre the Giant, Mil Mascaras, the Tolos Brothers, the Sheik, and perhaps even a few previously signed Japanese wrestlers. This might also lead to Prime cards featuring a more NWO-esque Conan and a jacket and slacks Andre the Giant. And then Steve says, I was having a little fun with him when I said ringside Andre, but I certainly didn't mean to be poking fun. I'm just joking around, so please, I hope you didn't take that the right way. But anyone who watched WWF in 1987-88 and saw how much of a game changer ringside Andre was knows how cool this card can be. Absolutely agree. A set like this would also be a great place to debut Nikita Koloff, Brett, or any Hart, Steven Regal, complete with a Bill Dundee manager card, the Great Muta, and Kamala. I would love all the fantastic names there. I'm with you, Steve. And Ronan II says, Legends 9 is probably going to be black and whites that need to be colorized. Again, as we said before, totally possible and would make a fantastic set. So there are your answers for last week's question. This week's question of the show is, what do you think the first Champions of the Galaxy release of 2022 will be? Do you think in Q1 we're going to get something for Champions of the Galaxy Main Universe for 2137, or like a little 5-pack or something like that? Do you think it's going to be a Future Shock set, an FTR set, a Reimagined set? We know we're getting War Games Reimagined at some point this year. A Kronos set, or is this Tom's secret project that we talked about last week? Or do you think it's going to be something else? Let me know in the comments below over on YouTube, and we will have your answers in the show next week. Well, we are going to move on to another part of the show called Bootleg Corner. This has been very popular. Lots of folks have been messaging me saying this has been a little popular segment on the show, just covering the latest bootlegs and bootleg news that's going on. I was going to announce today, but I announced it earlier in the week, that Viva Van is the other name in the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood Winter 2-pack. Viva Van, in addition to being a death metal vocalist, the Hellbent Vixen is the first ever female Vietnamese professional wrestler, a skilled lucha libre wrestler. Viva Van finished second in voting for the 2019 SoCal Rookie of the Year award and proceeded to win, and is still currently holds a handful of regional women's championships. In Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, some of Viva Van's first opponents, including Jessica Havoc and Thunder Rosa. Viva Van later became the first member of Halston Body's Body Shop after Body betrayed Heather Monroe. Together, Viva Van and Halston Body drove Heather Monroe away from Championship Wrestling from Hollywood until Heather Monroe returned at the most recent Red Carpet Rumble and successfully defended the Memphis Women's Championship against both Viva Van and Ruby Reyes in a triple threat match. So now with all those, Heather Morgan, Viva Van, and Ruby Reyes all have their cards, bootleg cards, so you could replay that match. In addition to her important role in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood's women's division, Viva Van has recently made multiple appearances for AEW Dark and seems to have an extremely bright future inside the squared circle. So there you go. Viva Van is the other name. These are available. I just posted the PDF for you to download, and all the cards went out in the mail. So if you were on my mailing list, you should have got them. And I'm glad folks are digging these cards and that they are arriving. Another little piece of news here. JEROD Rickert has a bootleg PDF list. And if you want to get on it, you can reach out to JEROD. You can reach out to rickardjerod@yahoo.com, or I have a link to a thread on his message boards that will also be in the show notes. But I was on the list last year, and the bootlegs are a lot of fun. So you can definitely go check those out as well. Elsewhere on the channel here, ladies and gentlemen, you can check out, we played Hollywood Elite Wrestling number 62, featuring Wildfire Tommy Rich versus Harley Race in a steel cage for the championship, and 2 new episodes of Memphis Championship Wrestling, cards number 9 and 10, one played using COTG Online and one played using Tabletop, so you can check both of those out elsewhere on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/GWF promoter. Of course, we want to mention the friends of the show, other great Filsinger Games content creators, Uncharted Territory, just listening to their new episode that dropped today, about a quarter of the way through it, so excited to keep listening to that. After Further Review with Steve Tower, Heartland Championship Wrestling with Dave Little, Roll Up, the official podcast of Filsinger Games, Dizzy Dice podcast by Lee Longpree, and of course Brockster Builds on Twitch. Now, speaking of Filsinger Games Roll Up, the official podcast of Filsinger Games, which you can find at filsingergames.com/rollup-podcast. I was the guest this week, and so I had a lot of fun talking to Sam and Todd on the podcast, so definitely want to check that out. I'm going to reach out to them and see if I can link to their interview in the roll-up, or not in the roll-up, in the Filsinger Games podcast feed, so that you won't have to do anything. You'll get that episode in the podcast feed. But I want to reach out to them and see if they were willing to do that. But you know what they were willing to do? They were willing to give me an exclusive. Next week on Filsinger Games Roll Up, they are going to do a Legends Spotlight. Now, they've done 2 of these before. They did one on Randy Macho Man Savage, and they did one on the Midnight Express. And their next one that will debut on the podcast next week will be a Legends Promoter Spotlight on none other than Rowdy Roddy Piper. So you'll definitely want to subscribe to them to hear all the great episodes they put out, but definitely next week for Rowdy Roddy Piper Legends Spotlight. So that is going to be awesome. Hey, we want to invite everyone to go to the Filsinger Games Fan Discord channel. If you are well versed in Discord, you're probably more well versed than I am, because I barely understand it. But you can go to bit.ly. That's bit.ly/FGF Discord and join the Filsinger Games Fan Discord. We've had a lot of fun discussions recently. Last week we were talking about negative finisher ratings, and we were talking about there was something else recently. It has slipped my mind. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. Go over there. Go check it out, because it is great. And as we wrap up here, we do want to remind you that there is an audio version of the show. If you're watching it on YouTube, you can also get it on audio. It's available anywhere you get your podcast. Just search for Filsinger Games in your favorite audio store, and it should pop right up. If you have a topic you'd like the show to cover, you can leave it in the comments. Make sure to subscribe or follow, whether you're watching on YouTube or Twitch, and follow GWF Promoter on social media at GWF Promoter. You can check out my personal feds at gwfpromoter.com and lowpromoter.com. The theme song for this show is American Guy by Throwing Toasters, used by permission and available on Apple Music, Spotify, anywhere you get your music. This podcast is not affiliated in any way with Filsinger Games or its subsidiaries. It's purely for entertainment purposes. And this episode is copyright 2021 Saturday Morning Media. I hope you will join us next week. It's going to be fun. I don't even want to spoil it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I think you're going to enjoy it. Huge shout out to Christopher Merriman, Ronan II, Crew Fan 68, Joe Scalamera, and everybody else who's watching live. Really do appreciate you tuning in. I hope you have an incredible weekend, and I will see you next Friday back here for another episode of the Filsinger Games Fan Podcast. Goodbye, everybody.
Country.